Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. There are indeed many ways to kill the Emperor of Tien Kuan completely. Luo Feng's insights had already surpassed those of his teacher, the mountain-sitting guest. Some were secrets told by Emperor Chu, while others he learned from comprehending the special grade inheritances. Although it was just the special grade inheritance, first realm of Godly King, it still provided vague guidance for the later stages of the path. For me, there are three more likely methods to kill the Emperor of Tien Kuan. The first method, my spiritual will reach, is the Beyond God King tier. Combined with the Lai Yuan technique, it can almost sweep away the will of any at the Godly King level. Luo Feng thought, but this path is extremely difficult. The will of the first realm of Godly King to the ultimate realm of God King, all are still considered within the Godly King tier, slowly improving. None of them could be considered a qualitative change. A major tier leap. That's the real qualitative change. During the primordial cosmos era, when he was still a true god, Luo Feng already possessed the peak will of the primal chaos realm. Coming to the land of origin, his spiritual will only had one major leap, from the will of the primal chaos realm to that of the Godly King's will. According to the information provided by Master, there are only 3 beings in the land of origin with Beyond God King level spiritual will at this era: Emperor Qing, the Lord of 10,000 Realms, and Emperor Ming. The ancestors of the 2 ancient countries and the ancestor of the East Extreme Domain, all were powerhouses of a bygone era. This era has only these 3. Emperor Qing and the Lord of 10,000 Realms both broke through to the Beyond God King tier, after comprehending a complete origin Great Tao. Emperor Ming attained the ultimate realm life form with the aid of the primordial bloodline. He has yet to comprehend a Great Tao. The ascent of a Great Tao brings an all-around enhancement. Seeing through the essence of everything between heaven and earth naturally leads to an incredibly powerful spiritual will. According to Master, secret treasure weapons above the Godly King level, especially defensive ones, generally have the effect of blocking will attacks. Ultimate realm life forms have a complete constitution, offering some blocking effect. Against Emperor Ming, emperors and monarchs either suffer great losses in power or lose control completely. Secret treasure weapons that can block will attacks are even more precious. Master doesn't even have one. Luo Feng couldn't help but sigh quietly. He had discovered during his detailed research of the Star Tower that it had the ability to obstruct will attacks. This path is difficult, but once successful, there wouldn't be many on the land of origin who could stand as my opponent. The second method, mastering the complete Great Tao of life origin. Then, control over life would reach an unbelievable level, which could instantly cut off all of Emperor Tien Kuan's revival carrier's vitality, preventing him from reincarnating in time. Each Great Tao has many flaws in the early stages, but once a complete Tao is mastered, there are no obvious defects. For example, the Great Tao of life origin is weak in killing initially. But the complete Great Tao of life origin is practically the embodiment of the life concept in the source world, even able to strip away life directly. The same is true for other paths. Reaching the ultimate realm, they become self-sufficient, naturally unfathomable. The third method, the special grade inheritance of the Great Tao of destruction origin, reaching the pinnacle of the second realm of Godly King. You could hope to battle against emperors and monarchs, extinguishing countless avatars and revival carriers of an enemy in just a thought. Morosa can even perform curse killing now. If one reaches the second realm of Godly King and cultivates special grade inheritance killing moves, Luo Feng felt it would be enough to deal with the Emperor of Tien Kuan. 3 paths, take it slow. Luo Feng sensed his own spiritual will. In the primal chaos realm, his will had already reached the ultimate realm of God King tier. Subsequent cultivations improvements became progressively slower, and the comprehension of a world life form nourished his spiritual will a bit. After becoming a godly king, his soul grew stronger, benefiting his spiritual will. Having comprehended 6 branches of life, Luo Feng's understanding of life deepened, his spiritual will seemed filled with endless vitality and resilience. My spiritual will has reached the bottleneck of the ultimate realm of godly king, unable to improve any further. Luo Feng sensed, even cultivating the heart-refining method of the Lai Yuan technique, couldn't enhance it in the slightest. Completely capped. Like a chasm in the sky, blocking his way. Lai Yuan technique records multiple heart-refining methods, and I chose to focus on the Great Destruction heart-refining technique. The effectiveness of this heart-refining method depends on my realm in the Great Tao of Destruction origin. Now, focus on cultivating the path of destruction. A secret technique surfaced in Luo Feng's mind. This was a combat secret technique recorded in the special grade inheritance, chaotic whole beast body, originally meant to complement the chaotic whole beast body. But with a stronger world life form, Luo Feng didn't need to comprehend the chaotic whole beast body any further. This combat secret technique, called Chaos Whole 6 Strikes, integrates the 6 branches of the path of destruction, with each strike exhibiting incredible power when combined with an ultra-strong physical body. This Chaos Whole 6 Strikes, each one a combination of the 6 branches, is as challenging to comprehend as the 10 directions world form. If I can comprehend even one strike, I'll have a formidable killing move. Luo Feng looked forward to it eagerly. Any single blow of these Chaos Whole 6 strikes is more powerful than the first 3 strikes of that extermination of 72 blades. And when performed by a world life form like Luo Feng, it means he will no longer have any weaknesses. As time passed, 3 eras went by in a blink of an eye. Windjong City. Zhong Yunji concealed her aura and changed her appearance, returning to her ancestral home. Windjong City. Zhong Yunji looked at the familiar city. It's where she grew up, yet she felt a bit timid. She quietly went to her family residence, then sent a message to her father. Soon, the door of the cave mansion opened. Why have you come back? Zhong's father stood at the entrance of the cave mansion, annoyance in his eyes. Didn't we already send word for you not to come back? This is my ancestral land. I wanted to come back and see it, Zhong Yunj said, looking at her father. You still think our lineage hasn't been disgraced enough? Zhong's father said angrily. You were with Moyu Qingyang and even became a disciple of godly King Po Lu. Our family had been valuing our lineage greatly, giving us resources, status, and power. Many of our kinsfolk's lives have greatly improved because of it. But you? What have you done? Zhong's father asked furiously. You broke up with Moyu Qingyang, offended that godly King Luo He, and were expelled from Po Lu Mountain by godly King Po Lu himself. You turned such a great opportunity into a complete mess. The elder ancestor of our family was so enraged that he has completely revoked many of our lineage's privileges. It's even worse than before you were with Moyu Qingyang. Our lineage can't get involved in the family's important affairs at all. Our lineage has completely declined, even more so than before you were with Moyu Qingyang. All because of you. Zhong's father glared at her. As your father, do you think I've had it easy? I can tell you, I have already applied to the family, and I am about to move out of the ancestral land. Moving out? Wouldn't that be completely marginalizing us? Zhong Yunj couldn't help but say. Aren't we already marginalized now? And we still have to suffer this humiliation, Zhong's father said angrily. You'd better leave quickly. If the kinsfolk of our lineage find you, some of your family elders might even take action against you. In their lineage, there were also over 10 eternal true gods, as well as a considerable number of void space true gods and true gods. Previously considered a normal lineage within the family, it has been marginalized due to the elder ancestors' wrath. I will leave now. Zhong Yunj didn't say much. Zhong father watched as his daughter's figure departed, shaking his head gently. Perhaps it was because she grew up in the royal family, and her father was also an eternal true god of the royal family. She had lived too comfortably. Zhong Yunj had been expelled from the mountain, and without an order from godly King Po Lu, she could never return. But at least she still had the title of direct disciple of the godly king. So in any city of flame-wind ancient country, the local forces wouldn't dare to bully her. Thus, she wandered from place to place, and in the blink of an eye, several epochs had passed. After much wandering, she arrived back in Xiangjie city. The pride in her bones had brought her this far, and only now had she come here. She sat atop a pavilion, silently watching the distant streets, waiting. At last, she saw him. Moyu Qingyang, riding an exotic beast from the primal chaos realm, and followed by a group of trusted aides, flew across the sky. Since reaching the primal chaos realm, the management of Xiangjie city had been completely handed over to Moyu Qingyang. Not only that, within a 20 primal chaos prefecture radius around Huyang city, the Moyu family also had great influence. Qingyang, Zhong Yunj suddenly stood up and hurriedly spoke. Moyu Qingyang turned his head and saw Zhong Yunj. Recognizing his former wife, he immediately steered the exotic beast towards the tavern's vicinity, and then went up alone. Inside the pavilion. Why did you come to Xiangjie city? Moyu Qingyang asked as he looked at her. Zhong Yunj said, Qingyang, I know I've made many mistakes, No need to say it. Moyu Qingyang shook his head, not wanting to listen. I came here this time to ask you, can we go back to the way things were? If you refuse, I will leave right away, and never appear before you again. Zhong Yunj looked at Moyu Qingyang. Moyu Qingyang looked deeply at Zhong Yunj. Let's just end it here. Having said that, Moyu Qingyang turned and left. Zhong Yunj stood there in a daze, her pride preventing her from speaking again, from holding on. She just watched Moyu Qingyang walk away. She knew everything was over. Moyu Qingyang sat on the back of the primal chaos realm exotic beast, returning with his trusted aides. He seemed expressionless, but his heart was in great pain. He cared deeply about that relationship, it was also his only love. But he was very clear in his heart. When she first went to Po Lu Mountain, she didn't even want to leave a divine power incarnation at home with me. I knew then, compared to her future prospects, I was nothing. Moyu Qingyang had personally gone to Po Lu Mountain to plead for her return to no avail. That moment, he decided to let go. Let's never meet again. Now, all Moyu Qingyang wanted was to focus on his cultivation, under the guidance of his two masters. Time flows like water. It has been 12 epochs since Luo Feng became a godly king. Within one of the layers of the Star Tower, silver-clad Luo Feng stood there, his fingertip light as a feather. Boom. The moment his fingertip touched, a point of light appeared, dazzling and brilliant. The point of light released an unimaginable force, annihilating everything around it instantly, sweeping and destroying. Its might swept through the entire layer of the Star Tower, with the entire space thundering. I've finally figured it out, Luo Feng said with a smile. After becoming a godly king, his soul's thought-processing speed was over 10 times faster than before. It took Luo Feng 12 epochs to comprehend a single strike of the chaos whole 6 strikes. Luo Feng's mind naturally produced the complete branch lineage of the heaven-splitting lineage, and then naturally triggered the dark heaven lineage, chaos heaven lineage, and other branches, comprehending them one after another as if it was all falling into place. A moment later, the 6 branches of the great Tao of destruction origin had all surfaced in Luo Feng's mind. Without a complete great Tao of destruction origin as a reference, my cultivation of the great Tao of life was considerably slower, Luo Feng revealed a smile. After becoming a godly king, his soul's foundation had grown more robust, his thoughts quicker, and his overall state better. A single era equated the work of the previous 20 eras. Though slower, it is still much higher than the average level of the godly kings from the land of origin. Luo Feng was quite satisfied nevertheless. But there were aspects that troubled Luo Feng as well. Master gifted me 10 primordial crystal spirit fruits to use during my time in the primal chaos realm, and the first realm of godly king. Luo Feng gently shook his head. However, the physical body and soul of my current state in the first realm of godly king far surpass those of the same level. The effects of the primordial crystal spirit fruit have become quite weak. In these 12 eras, Luo Feng had consumed 1 primordial crystal spirit fruit. The speed of his thought seemed to increase only by 30 to 40%, and his soul's condition had improved slightly. That was all. I'll leave the remaining primordial crystal spirit fruits for primordial ancestor, Luo Feng thought. To primordial ancestor, still in the primal chaos realm, the effect of these fruits was still excellent. Sigh. Luo Feng stepped towards the edge of this level in the Star Tower. Chaos Hole 6 Strikes is an attack technique from the special grade Inheritance, Chaotic Whole Beast Body, and is even more exquisite than the first 3 blades of extermination of 72 blades. Displayed by a world life form. Even one of my avatars, I reckon, has almost half the strength of the Emperor of Tien Kuan, but still unable to affect the Star Tower in the slightest. Luo Feng touched the tower wall. When he had first become a godly king, his combat techniques were weaker, even lesser in might compared to the Emperor of Tien Kuan. It was only because of his multiple avatars and extremely strong life force that he had been more troublesome. Now, Luo Feng merely needed to dispatch 2 avatars to fight on par with the Emperor of Tien Kuan. Luo Feng had reached this step due to multiple reasons. The accomplishment of the Great Tao of Life Origin combined with special grade Inheritance, comprehending the 10 Directions world form. The accomplishment of the Great Tao of Destruction Origin combined with special grade Inheritance, grasping one of the Chaos Whole 6 Strikes. The formless and intangible ability, which transmuted materials for the 10 Directions world form. The vast soul basis brought by the perfect life form, along with the will at the bottleneck of the ultimate realm of God King. In the first realm of Godly King, I'm quite impressive, able to contest those from the second realm of Godly King, who have accumulated profound depth, Luo Feng thought. However, my current accumulation does not even qualify to practice the perfection level Inheritance, 9 realms of extinction, at the first realm. The first realm of 9 realms of extinction, part of the first realm of Godly King chapter in perfection level Inheritance, requires surpassing the Godly Kings will right at the entry level. Indeed, those who can surpass the Godly Kings will are generally counted on one's fingers within a source world. This perfection level Inheritance also made Luo Feng soberly realize, there is always a higher mountain. He might seem outstanding, but only within the source world of the land of origin. This Star Tower, I've long refined and controlled it. Even when I was an eternal true God, I couldn't detect its particularity, Luo Feng mused internally. Back then I was too weak, and the aids like Showu wings were stronger than the Star Tower. Remembering the period in the primordial cosmos, I thought that the Blood Shadow Knife, Showu wings, Boat of Mausoleum, and others were superior to the Star Tower. Indeed, it was like a pearl covered in dust. Now that I can match the profoundly accumulated second realm of Godly King, I still can't comprehend it through and through. Luo Feng felt that even with some secret treasure weapons beyond the Godly King level, he could at least glimpse some mysteries with his understanding of the Great Tao. But the Star Tower, he couldn't glimpse anything at all. Note that I have nurtured the Star Tower over the long years, and it felt like a part of my own life. I should be the easiest to investigate its truth. Mountain Sitting Guest Teacher was also in the first realm of Godly King. His secret patterns created during the Star Tower's refinement are not even on my level. The star tower's particularity seems to come from a strand of golden light accidentally integrated during the refinement process. Luo Feng felt the star tower carefully. Even with this realm's breakthrough, I still couldn't glimpse anything. I wonder what realm it will take to glimpse its reality. Luo Feng set this aside for the moment and sat down cross-legged, beginning to implement the Great Destruction Heart refining technique from the Lai Yuan technique. Rumbling ~~. Having comprehended the 6 branches of destruction, Luo Feng only felt as if the Great Destruction Heart refining technique had turned into a dark chaos hole enveloping his spiritual will, fiercely compressing, crushing, slaughtering. Under this influence, Luo Feng's spiritual will naturally became more refined, visibly transforming at a perceivable rate. The progress in the Great Tao of Destruction was very helpful for the Great Destruction Heart refining technique. Luo Feng was delighted internally. Although his spiritual will was transforming, its strength remained firmly capped at the bottleneck of the ultimate realm of God King, unable to advance in the slightest. **************** City Owner's Mansion, Huyang City. Master Luo He. Morosa and Moyu who came to see Luo Feng together, and an avatar of Luo Feng came out to meet them. What's happened that brings both of you to me at the same time? Luo Feng smiled as he looked at them. Now that I command this faction, it covered the surrounding 20 territories. Given the capabilities of Mo Li Meng and Mo Yu Hu, they lacked the ability to manage such an enormous territory. Therefore, this territory was mainly managed by Morosa and Mo Yu Hu, and below them were a host of eternal true gods. Having an illusionary avatar, his path of cultivation involved comprehending the operation of everything under the heavens, and he was inclined to arrange multiple illusionary avatars with different identities to understand the workings of the land of origin. As a sector beast, Morosa had avatars from a young age, capable of being formless, intangible, and without the need for cultivation, allowing him leisure time to indulge in food, drinks, and pleasure around the world while also leading many affairs. Looking at Yuan beside him, Morosa was ultimately a servant, while Yuan was Luo Feng's grandmaster. In the world of cultivators, the relationship between master and disciple was highly valued, but as for a grandmaster, not so much. Firstly, grandmasters and their succeeding generations might not even have met each other more than a few times. Secondly, the lifespan of cultivators was so lengthy that the master's master's master could form a whole lineage of grandmasters. However, the relationship between Luo Feng and the primordial ancestor was not ordinary. From Luo Feng's perspective, the primordial ancestor had sheltered all of humanity for countless years, a fact that alone commanded immense respect. From the primordial ancestor's perspective, Luo Feng had rescued him from the suppression in the primordial cosmos, and had helped him substantially on the path of cultivation. We encountered some troubles. Yuan said seriously, managing 20 primal chaos prefectures requires recruiting many eternal true gods. During the recruiting process, we discovered a hidden power. Luo Feng listened. Managing 20 primal chaos prefectures, each having several major cities and many ordinary towns, each prefecture would recruit hundreds of eternal true gods, which was already considered a few. In recruiting eternal true gods, we naturally select the elite, Yuan stated, but we found that in each primal chaos prefecture, the elite are being quietly recruited and taken away by a certain force. Luo Feng was surprised. Is this the case in all primal chaos prefectures? These 20 owned by me come from both Yu Kingdom and Shi Kingdom. Yes. Yuan nodded. All 20 primal chaos prefectures are like this, being targeted by this mysterious force recruiting elite eternal true gods. I even discovered that in a broader area, such as in Shi Kingdom, Yu Kingdom, and some other places, this power is probably also recruiting elite eternal true gods. That's a wide range, Morosa spoke. My avatars traveled across different regions to investigate, and the infiltration range of this power is hard to estimate. Oh? Luo Feng frowned slightly. Being able to infiltrate across such a large range means even the masters of Sha Kingdom and Yu Kingdom, among others, turned a blind eye. This power must have substantial influence. The numbers they recruit are not that large. Just 3 to 5 individuals per major city after their selection process, Yuan added. I learned of this, and did not dare to act rashly. This power is troublesome, Morosa stated gravely. Let me first contact the master of Yushui. Luo Feng smiled faintly, and immediately contacted the master of Yushui through causal transmission, briefly explaining the situation Morosa and the others discovered. Luo River, little brother, this force is called Life Mother River, and they have infiltrated about 30% of the territories in the land of origin, all recruiting elite eternal true gods. It's highly troublesome, Morosa explained. Thank you. I know what to do now, Luo Feng replied upon hearing the name Life Mother River, understanding the whole situation. Emperor Chu had informed him of this mysterious power before. Knowing some details about the opposition, Luo Feng already had a plan. Primordial Ancestor, Luo Feng addressed, send one of your avatars to their branch headquarters and inform them to forever withdraw from my territories. Primordial Ancestor understood immediately. Should they opt for confrontation, you can dissipate your avatar as needed. There's no need for a direct clash, Luo Feng added. Understood, Primordial Ancestor nodded. Luo River, what's the origin of this force? This power is called Life Mother River, Luo Feng replied with a smile. As long as they remain hidden, they are not to be feared. Primordial Ancestor nodded. I will go and meet them now. Primordial Ancestor immediately left. Master, I shall take my leave first, Morosa spoke and then departed. Emperor Chu and Life Mother River have some old grievances. Luo Feng thought, if that master of the Mother River arrives, it could bring my master into the scene. In the information Emperor Chu shared with Luo Feng, whom among those pinnacle beings in the land of origin, he had ties or enmities with was clearly recorded. With a thought, Luo Feng activated the world reflection, beginning to observe his vast territories to check on the activities of Primordial Ancestor's illusionary avatar. Normally, Luo Feng would not constantly perform world reflection, since it consumed concentration. Even when reflecting, the actions of countless creatures within his vast territories were generally ignored instinctively unless something significant caught his attention. In Xuyang Chaos State, within the bustling core city, Xuyang City, which was also one of the 20 primal chaos prefectures under Luo Feng, an illusionary avatar of Primordial Ancestor walked within the city. This power is about to recruit internal members here in Xuyang City in a few dozen days. The invited elite eternal true gods will all come. Primordial Ancestor soon arrived outside a cave mansion. His figure, ghost-like, ignored the formation guarding the mansion and naturally entered a plaza within the cave mansion. Which primal chaos great saint dares intrude into our sex division? An angry voice came, oh. It's the former guest elder of the flame-wind ancient country. It is I. Yuan stood in the plaza, sweeping his gaze all around, calmly stated, the city lord has ordered that your group swiftly withdraw from the 20 primal chaos prefectures under his command. This video will end here.